The Loomis Head method is one of the most popular ways of drawing heads. However, a lot of new artists tend to get confused with this method, which ends up with their drawing looking worse. Which is why today I'll be explaining and simplifying this method for everyone. In this video, we'll be discussing the Loomis method step by step so that you can draw the head in any angle that you want. We're also going to discuss how to easily add facial features on it. I'm not going deep into history, but basically, Andrew Loomis is an artist who wrote art tutorial books during the 40s and 50s. And his book about drawing heads is actually in the public domain, so if you want to check it out, I will put the link in the description. Now, he has discussed a lot of things in this 140-page book, ranging from the basic construction to the anatomy of the head and hands. But in this video, we're just gonna focus on his method on constructing the head because, as I always tell people who watch my videos, basic shapes and construction are the foundation of drawing, and he apparently agrees. As mentioned in his book, and I quote, "Every head anyone draws depends on construction just as much as every building, every car, every other three-dimensional object does." To explain this method clearly, I have this ball. So what we're gonna do is draw a line around the ball horizontally and another line around the center, but this time it's vertical. Since this is a 3D shape, we're going to have to draw a third line between the point where the first two lines meet. Now let's determine the center of the face. Choose any point where the two lines meet. The vertical line will be the center of the face, and the horizontal line will be where the eyebrows will be. Once we have determined the center, what we need to do is cut off the sides flat like this. Let's redraw the lines on the part we cut, as this will be important later on. This will be the cranium part of the head. Now, if we draw this on paper, this is what it looks like on the front, and this is what it looks like on the side. When drawing this on 3/4 view, however, perspective and volume plays a part, which can get confusing for beginners. What will happen is the circles on the side will not be a perfect circle, but rather an oval, and the guidelines will favor the front rather than the back. In order to practice this, try drawing this shape in various angles. After that, we're going to extend the center line. Imagine attaching a stiff wire at the center like this. Once you've nailed that down, we can go ahead and measure the proportions of the face. This is his basic measurement, which is suitable for an adult with a muscular build. However, this is not a one-size-fits-all measurement. We'll discuss how to draw faces of different ages in another video. Back to our ball, you can see here where I labeled which the top is. In between this top line and the brow line, we're going to draw a line in the middle, and this will be where the hairline would be. We're going to draw a sort of a semicircle like this in between the top line and the hairline, and this will be the contour of the hair. This is what it looks like drawn in various angles. The next thing we have to do is measure out the length between the hairline and the brow line and apply that measurement from the brow line downwards. This will be for the bottom of the nose. We're going to apply that same length from the bottom of the nose downwards to determine the chin. Again, when drawing it in different angles, you're gonna have to apply perspective and volume. Like when the character is looking up, the chin part is more favored, and when looking down, the forehead will have a bigger measurement than the other segments. It does take a lot of practice to eyeball them, but I believe you can do it. Now let's add in the jaw. In this method, the jaw is divided in 3 parts: the front plane and the sides. So we have to establish where the eye would be by drawing a guideline just below the brow line. Then we're going to draw a line by the chin. You can make the chin wide or narrow, it's up to you. Now we're going to draw a diagonal line from this point on the sides of the circle down to the point where the ends of the chin line are. For the sides of the jaws, starting from the flat side, we're going to draw a soft angled line down to the chin. It's up to you what kind of angle you'd like to draw, as it gives variety. Remember to also follow the perspective. When drawing it in 3/4 and side angles, the other side of the jaw is hidden because it's far away from the camera. If you look at the jaw from the bottom, this is the shape it forms, so keep that in mind. That's pretty much the Loomis method, and here it is in various angles, so feel free to pause this video for your reference. Once you've done analyzing and studying it, we can proceed to adding the features. For this, I'm not gonna go for a super realistic style, mainly because I'm not a huge fan of it. I have my way of adding features to faces that is simpler, so we're going to do that. You don't actually have to strictly follow the proportions I will do here. In fact, I highly encourage that you experiment with different shapes and proportions per facial pictures, as it gives variety to your characters. If you like to learn more on how you can add variety on faces, click the eye icon on the top right of the screen. It's very insightful, I promise. First, let's draw the contour of the face. If you notice, our face isn't exactly flat, and it's following the contours of our skull. Remember that our construction is pretty much just a guideline, so you don't need to follow it fully. Anyway, whenever I draw the face, I always start with the nose because it helps me indicate where I will put the rest of the features. So from the brow line, we're gonna draw a short angle line like this and then draw the bridge of the nose. Then we're gonna draw the bottom of the nose by the guideline. Remember, our nose protrudes from our faces, which is why it doesn't follow the center line completely except for the front view. Now we can draw the eyes. Let's draw a straight vertical line from this part of the nose. This will serve as a guideline for where the corner of the eye would be. This guideline right here is where the bottom of the eye would be, so draw the shape of the eye from the bottom of this guideline. From the corner of the eye, draw a small diagonal shape like this and then start the eyebrows from there, following the brow line. If you're going for realistic proportions, the width of one eye is the same as the nose when you're drawing it in the front view. Remember that perspective and volume will apply when drawing it from other angles. Next, we're gonna draw a guideline 1/3 of the way from the nose line, and this is where we'll put the mouth. Take note that the mouth has a slight volume into it as demonstrated in this drawing, so don't draw it flat. After that, let's add in the ears. Note the top of the ear shouldn't go past this line. Finally, add in the hair following the shape of the skull and add any details that you want. Here we go guys, we've drawn a head using the Loomis method. By the way, here are some of the head samples in different angles, so feel free to pause this and take a screenshot for your reference. Fun fact, the Loomis method is actually my main inspiration in creating more simpler way to draw the head using even fewer basic shapes, and it's also flexible to a wide variety of styles. If you find the Loomis method still overwhelming for you, maybe this method will be more helpful. Click the video on the right to watch it.